Longtime viewers of this channel will know how wild of a statement this is, but pellet grills are the single most impactful tool on the way that I cook since the sous vide immersion circulator. Last year I made a comment in a video about how I don't own a smoker, and since then I've been given 3 different makes and models to try. Obviously, pellet grills have allowed me to start smoking food. They can cook ribs while I sleep, but I wasn't anticipating this surprise benefit of now finally being able to bake stuff in the summer. Out here in Arizona, my oven stays turned off for half the year. Now I can crank this to 450 outside, and since there's convection taking place from hot air moving from here to here, it's kind of like a giant air fryer. I have never in my life purchased a so-called smart product and allowed it access to my home network, but Edward Snowden, forgive me, the Wi-Fi enabled pellet smoker is the first and only value proposition to finally break me. So now that you see how deeply in love I've fallen, I want to share with you what I've learned. A couple of notes for what to expect, just so you don't sit through the whole video only to get miffed at the end. I don't believe in reviews that crown one option the best. I try not to use the B word because each option always appeals to different people with different priorities. I'm also not going to do any lab tests on how well these transfer or hold heat since I don't have the equipment to do so, and I'm also not going to show all of these off with highly polished B-roll of glistening metal. If I have to document my ever-swelling circumference and aging facade to the internet, then the tools I use better be shown with all their wear, tear, and stress-tested abuse too. The first couple of questions you've got to ask are obvious. First, what's your budget? These are expensive machines, but more and more budget options keep popping into the market. They may be flimsy, less durable, and made overseas, but I don't think it does you any good for me to talk about my preference for build quality and longevity, as if nobody out there wants to prioritize price over everything. Also, include the cost of a grill cover in your budget. These machines are full of electronic components, and they should not be subjected to the elements the way that an offset smoker made out of an oil tank can be. Consider the cover non-negotiable. Next, what size do you really need? You might assume that bigger is always better since you can cook more food on a bigger pellet grill, but that also means that it's going to take longer to heat up and you will use more fuel than you might need to. Choose a size that's small enough to fit on your deck, patio, or balcony and large enough to hold whatever your biggest cook will be, whether that's a 14-pound brisket or 24 burger patties. This one never gets talked about, but ask yourself, are you even prepared to accept the smoker that you buy? The Camp Chef came in a standard box with assembly instructions. You'll need basic tools and several spare hours to put it together. The assembly process was mostly straightforward with a couple of painfully fiddly parts that drove me crazy for 15 minutes at a time. The pits and spits came 90% assembled inside of a box. That box had big text on it that said high value items inside, so definitely have a disposal plan for that robbery magnet in mind, but the delivery guy wheeled the whole thing into my yard and I used a jack to prop it up and screw the wheels in. Not difficult at all. The Yoder arrived fully assembled, but it was screwed into a pallet. It got dropped off in my driveway during my lunch break in the middle of July, so I was out there in my business casual attire sweating over stripped screws with my dinky Black & Decker drill, trying desperately to get the high value item into my yard in under an hour. If I didn't have my trusty super bar on me, I might have been screwed. So be prepared. This question is more important than I ever expected. How much will you be moving your grill around? You're never gonna load any of these up into a pickup truck and take it to a different location, but will you be moving it around your yard? I like to store mine under the patio and then wheel it out into the open before startup. The Yoder has big beefy wheels on it, but they are hard to steer and it can be hard to get a grip good enough to navigate accurately. The Camp Chef has wheels and a built-in handle, but I attached the handles myself during assembly, so the 2 little wimpy bolts with which it's attached doesn't inspire much confidence. I feel like it might pop off while handling. When it comes to maneuverability, the Pits and Spits is unmatched, with its robust, grippy handles. If space is at a premium though, you might not like these rods affecting your grill's footprint. I don't even know why these are called pellet grills when smoking seems to be their primary function, but you need to ask yourself if you plan on smoking food and grilling it. All of the brands, even the cheap ones, can smoke food at relatively low temperatures like 275, but grilling demands temperatures far beyond that, and not all of them can do it. The Camp Chef gets around this limitation by offering an optional propane-powered burner on the side. You can buy little attachments to turn this into a grill, a griddle, or a regular stove. It's easy to dunk on a cheeky workaround design choice like this, but last year when my kitchen was out of commission for a week, it was nice to be able to have a hot cooking surface in a matter of minutes. Heating up a charcoal or wood grill would take much longer. The Yoder and the Pits and Spits both offer these diffuser plates with little trap doors in them. Once you open that up, the flame can lift all the way up onto the grates for grilling instead of evenly diffusing over the metal for smoking. I cranked these up to the max, kind of expecting to be a little underwhelmed by their grilling potential, but the heat that comes out of them is downright scary at times. 10 out of 10. Ask yourself, how much effort are you willing to exert maintaining your grill? Be realistic here because it's important. Both the Pits and Spits and the Yoder are made with heavy, unmoving parts. Think about just the diffuser plate. Its job is to evenly distribute the heat from below, so the heavier the better. That does, however, mean that to clean the ash out, you'll need to let everything cool down, take off the grates, remove the diffuser plate, and then shop vac all the ashes out. Do you even have a shop vac? If not, add that to your budget, or prepare to bust out a little hand broom every once in a while. You won't have to empty the ash very often, but it is something to keep in mind. The Camp Chef is made out of cheap, lightweight parts, so they're able to offer this little lever that scrapes the ash out. You just grip it and slide it over and all the ash falls out into a collection cup. Very convenient. Also, if you care about the appearance of your grill, prepare to clean the exterior often. For these two stainless steel options, that's pretty easy, but this super cool matte black powder coated look is not as easy to keep spotless, which is why mine has the optional stainless steel piece at the mouth where most of the grease drips. All the more reason to set your budget first before you become familiar with all of the optional upgrades. A couple less important rapid fire questions to round us out. Do you care about how bright and detailed the LCD screen is? Do you need to be able to adjust the smoke levels and the temperature levels independently from each other, or do you just want to set the temp like an oven and be done with it? Will you take pride in knowing that your purchase is handmade and supports American craftspeople? Do you live in a place where it's cold enough to determine whether you need 14 gauge steel or the extra beefy 12 gauge variety? I don't. It's 80 degrees all throughout the month of February. This is all for show. I ask all of these questions because I found that these are the questions that matter the most. I know what it's like to purchase a new camera. I don't wish that experience on my enemies. You try to find the so-called best one, but there's always a model with a superior viewfinder or shutter speed or low light performance. And by the time you learn about whether or not that even matters to you, you conclude that any of the paralyzingly plentiful choices will be lacking in some facet that last week did not even matter to you in the slightest. No one of these products is objectively the best. The way I see it, the Camp Chef is like a nonstick pan. Not made to last, but quite nimble and cheap enough to get light users into the hobby. The fancy screen and dial are totally intuitive, and the grilling capabilities, while not for everyone, are technically there. The Yoder is like a high-end cast iron pan. It's heavy, it's solid, and it's got a commanding aesthetic that fits a certain lifestyle, a pride of ownership that makes the effort of upkeep worth it. They're a reputable brand that offers so many options and add-ons that you'd be guaranteed to be in good company as an owner. What a treat it is to be cooking on the same grill as barbecue dreamboat Chef Tom. The Pits and Spits smoker is like a carbon steel pan, made to last, a little easier to maintain, and sure to get you nods of respect from people who are in the know about a niche product. The design of the lid means that it opens with more ease than you'd expect, and everything's fully welded, so you're never going to lose a screw while messing with it. Let me put it this way. This guy buys his brisket at the grocery store because it's good enough and the price is right. This guy buys his brisket online because he can shop for dry-aged Wagyu that can't be found anywhere else, and this guy knows the guy who slaughtered a cow last week and he's trading a 12-pound packer in exchange for help exterminating 30 to 50 feral hogs. Then again, maybe pulled pork's on his menu.